Hi, Paul and Bhargav. Good morning. It's Monday, the 12th of June. Here's the heads up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 23 issues. In North Asia, we covered 10. And for Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 6. In South Asia, we covered 15 issues, plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Uday. Hi, Bhargav. How are you going? I hope you both had a good weekend.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, Paul. Thanks.
So in Thailand, the political polarization is increasing as activists have warned the government against interfering with the election results. This is as conservative elements are also pushing for action against the Move Forward Party and its leader.
Look, I think it's really interesting. We're in the usual cycle. The pro-royal establishment is looking to further its ongoing historical power base. Obviously, certain other elements are looking for democratic change and progress. It's the same activists, the same skullduggery. So we can't see anything breaking the cycle of attempted democratic rule, followed by pushback from the establishment, ultimately unrest, and then ultimately a military intervention or coup, depending on how you wish to interpret it. What will be interesting to see is how this coalition unfolds and in what order the coalition formation and the unrest unfolds. Uday, has there been any further progress in any of the talks between Move Forward or Putai or Jumbatai or any of the other potential coalition partners?
No, Paul, it's still stuck at the moment. It seems that most parties are trying to see what will happen with the Move Forward Party's leader, Kun Vita, and
yes.
Yeah. And after that, they'll make moves.
All right. If I'm going to be traveling for the next couple of days, would appreciate a WhatsApp telephone call if there is any progress on either way on the formulation of a coalition or any of the usual skullduggery that occurs, okay?
Sure, we'll do, Paul.
Thank you.
In Vietnam, 4 police officers were killed in shootings at 2 police headquarters in 2 different communes in the Central Highlands province. This is quite notable because we don't see much of this criminal activity. We don't know the motive yet.
Yeah, once some more information comes out on that in the next couple of days, I'd really like to dig in on that. So keep me informed, please. Thank you.
Yep. And in South Korea, authorities have arrested 77 people for industrial espionage between the 1st of February and the 31st of May. 27 of the cases involved corporate espionage with domestic firms, whereas 8 were related to leaking intellectual property to businesses in countries like China.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, do we know if these are all these different cases are not linked, or we don't know how many of these particular cases may be linked, or do we know they're all separate?
We do not know, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Bhargav, just a heads up, myself and Kun Surate will need to go to Kunming shortly, so just note that, okay?
Noted, Paul.
Thank you.
And in Papua New Guinea, 17 female students who were kidnapped last week and were held hostage in Bosavi in Pela were released yesterday after a ransom was paid. It is believed that the kidnappers were the same ones who kidnapped the Australian professor and his anthropological team earlier this year.
Okay, I can't imagine that would be true. Okay, I think we need to look more deeply into that. I would say they're almost certainly not associated incidents. Now, that said, I haven't heard of this latest incident until now. What I would like us to do is pop that one into the database. Let's start analysing it in terms of linkages with that other particular incident, but also just make sure we're looking at the trend lines. A lot of the people I speak with that are long-term security guys in the Highlands of PNG are convinced, or perhaps have convinced themselves, that kidnappings and hostage takings and various associated shenanigans haven't actually increased. That said, whether they have convinced themselves or it is increased is very important that we start to analyse that. So this incident's particularly important given the nature of how ransoms escalate the situation, and the government's promise last time that after they paid the ransom on that professor hostage situation that they were going to annihilate the gang. Now they're saying that it's the same gang. So let's have a look at that from an analytical perspective, drilling in on our database, please.
Yep, will do, Paul. Moving over to South Asia. In India, the National Investigation Agency announced yesterday that it arrested 4 suspected terrorists belonging to the Ansharullah Bangla team, which is a terror group based in Bangladesh. The NIA arrested these suspects in Assam in India.
Yes, so NIA is a proactive agency and they have proven their effectiveness time and again. It is important to note that since 2014, there hasn't been a major terror incident in a metro Indian city, maybe Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, or Calcutta, with exceptions of the frontier areas as well as provinces with active insurgencies such as Chhattisgarh and Kashmir. I believe similar proactive measures will be fruitful, and we will not see major incidents if they keep up such proactive operations.
Right. And regarding India and Pakistan, alerts have been issued for Cyclone Biparjoy. At least 20 people have been killed in Pakistan thus far, and in India, authorities have issued warnings for Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat.
Pakistan, it'll be a major concern. They are yet to recover from the last year's floods, and their economy is battered. On India's side, the infrastructure, as usual, is ill prepared. However, India has developed something called NDRF, National Disaster Relief Force, which is tested well, and they have been very effective in some of the cyclones on the eastern coast as well as the western coast. So they should be able to grapple with this much better than Pakistan side.
Right. And moving over to Europe, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev yesterday warned that Moscow could carry out attacks on European countries. This is if troops from NATO are deployed in Ukraine.
Yes, this comes directly as a response to the military exercises with nearly 10,000 personnel being held in Germany. I don't expect anything less from Russian side, and I do not see this as a de-escalation in any way if NATO is trying to deter Russia by deploying such a large contingent for military exercise, as they call it.
I think there's one other factor there we need to consider. Both the British and the American SF have been caught out being involved actively there. So they're already actually met the requirements of being able to do that if they so desire. But I agree with you, Bhargav. In fact, quite the contrary. It's actually an escalation, not a de-escalation. Not a potential de-escalation. In fact, it's yet another escalation. Thank you.
Thanks. That's a brief for today. Anything else from you?
Not from me. If you could hang around, guys, I want to have a quick chat.
Sure.